Good morning, everyone. It is November the 4th, 2016. Time to kick off another trading day, and this is the biggest news day of the month, given the fact that the FOMC did nothing with interest rates. The consensus this morning for the non-farm payroll number is 178, a drop from 5% to 4.9. And unemployment, private non-farm payroll numbers 170, earnings plus 0.3, work week 34.4, trade balance minus 38.9, and Baker Hughes rig count previously 710, probably higher on this go around. So the focus, unemployment, non-farm payroll. Probably the impact of today's numbers aren't as great as they normally would be, given the fact that I think every time we look at it, it's north of 70% that the Fed's going to increase interest rates in December. So I think that's already built into the pricing. So this is your number one priority. It will be cross-checked with the average work week, but all the news is going to boil down to these two numbers, and it'll be out early. Then I'll be back to election news. Today is Friday. If you want to make the evening news cycle, you probably ought to release your whatever it is you want to release at 1300 Eastern time today. So as we get closer to the lunch hour and over lunch, news about Hillary, news about Trump, that would be the most likely time frame to get it in, so we'll be subject to news spikes off of that. The selling overnight in the stock markets was around the globe. Asia collectively was off 4.27, Europe off 5.84. The selling is being blamed on lower crude oil prices and the U.S. elections. Got to free up some cash before these elections, given the uncertainty of the outcome. And the world's informed, plugged in, large broker-dealers all have put money on the Hillary Clinton side. They haven't put it on the Trump side, even though Trump's economic policies or proposed economic policies are much better for long-term growth. So, stock market selling around the globe probably is behind a modest rally in treasuries. We are up. We're waiting for the news. So, 8 to 12 is still resistance. Without the news, we'd be selling 7s to 11 and 15s to 19s. Without the news, mind you, we'd be buying 29s to 01s and 21s to 25s. It is a news day trade. No way to get around it. If you know the news, because there is no liquidity, you can't buy stop or sell stop into the market. You have to put that trade on before the news hits, and that carries a lot of risk. You got $1,000 exposure to $1,500 exposure on the bond. You've got $500 to $750 exposure on the note. Looking at the ZB, number one resistance 8 to 12, so 15 to 19 sell 1, 27 to 31 sell 2. On the buy side, pretty clean break in the market at really the buck, so 28 to the buck, number one. 21.25 buy one. I mean, that's where support is in Globex. And then let them get stops below yesterday's lows, 9 to 13 buy two. Now, we have a way of trading news that doesn't give you a lot of exposure to risk, doesn't really increase your risk. It is a trade where you have to be nimble, no doubt, but you don't have the exposure to losing, $500 to $1,500 on the news. And it's called our Newsday trade. And in that Newsday trade, we enter the market at 3 different levels: the mode mean, value area high or low, or where the news hit the market. And then if the range is not exceeded, we exit that trade. So what you have is that we've got the news and it hits the market right here. Let's say in this case the move is up. So I've got the value area low, got the mode mean, and sometime in that first 3-minute bar you've got to make a decision. The earlier you make that decision, the less reliable are these markers, the mode mean or the value area low. So the first place to enter that order is a limit buy in this case against the mode mean. Second place to enter it would be a limit buy against the value area low. And the third place to enter the order would be a limit buy where the news hit the market. Then if the market fails to take out the high of that bar, and quite often it doesn't, you exit the trade. So sometimes you have to make that determination 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds into the move. Obviously, the closer you get to the close of the 3-minute bar, the more stable these markers are. But that's one way that you can do it and not have your head hung out to dry if you're wrong. If you do trade size, a lot of people will play the number and they'll put a small position on before the news. They'll count on the extra volatility for them to make their normal gains on a smaller lot, so that they don't really screw or mess up their risk reward doing that. Okay, looking at the London and gold, we had a 95.97. That's probably pretty good without news. I mean, this market will react just like the treasuries will, probably more so. And these numbers that we're giving right now, the only ones that are really kind of safe would be the crude oil numbers in front of the news. So then 90 to 92. So basically 90.95 is the buy zone, sell zone 4 to 6, 9 to 11, and then 13.05, 13.10 for the sell zone, and that's without news. The euro will react to this number. The number comes in higher than forecast, greater than 178. The euro will sell. If it comes in lower than 178, it can rally. We had a 45 to 50 sell last night, I think. Yeah, 45 to 55 didn't make it. It was sold at 33 areas. So right now, 30 to 40 is your sell zone, leaning against resistance. We'll make it 65, 75, sell 2. On the buy side, 110 even, 110.10 is where we were last night, buy 1. And then 110.75, buy 2. So Fitz, how low can the bond go if the increase in interest rates aren't already built in? 150, 155, 160. Okay, crude oil stops below 44 is the play right now. So 44 even, 44 and a quarter. Then 43.50, 43.75. It is Friday. Probably after the AM session is over, end of the week profits will come into play. From the trading community, 45, 45 and a quarter, sell one. 45.50, 75, sell two. 150, that's a nice round number. Okay, the E-mini selling was pretty heavy compared to what happened in our overnight session. Again, the selling was blamed on the drop in crude oil prices around the globe and the possibility that Trump might actually be elected. So here we are. Awaiting the news. Get this where we can read it. And we have a little bulge down at 75. We got a low volume number at 81.50. Then we bust 75, 20.50 is the next stop. And everybody's talking about if the market closes lower today, it'll be the 8th day in a row of lower closes. Most people are blaming this on the election, not the earnings, etc. we face. So right now 85, 87 is where resistance is. Then the last rotate up yesterday stopped at 90. A scoop order 10 points away from where the market is on a buy and a sell usually turns out and works out pretty well in the E-mini. So just based on where we are structure wise, 85, 87 sell one, 89, 91 sell two. This is without the non-farm payroll news. 79, 81 buy one, 74, 76 buy two. 178 non-farm payrolls, 4.9 unemployment, plus 0.3 on hourly earnings, 34.4 average work week. That's where it has been all fall. Trade balance basically minus 39B. And Baker Hughes last week was 710. That number could come in higher. Based on the economy and the rest of that, this number could come in higher. And based on the ADP numbers, that number could come in lower. Where it's forecast right now. Okay, we'll take a while to get everything up and published. We'll be back on the news. Try a Newsday trade, just show you how it's done. And again, if you aren't nimble, if it's difficult for you to put on trades, it's not a trade that is recommended. Let the market settle down and come back and trade development. Got to preserve our capital. In a bit.